Sarah was around for a little bit in like the community. She's originally from like Hilbert, so when her and her husband were planning a family, they migrated towards Appleton. They have 5 kids together. Before they entered shelter, they were actually living outside. They were doing kind of like a camping experience with their kids because they had nowhere to really go. Their relationship with their parents, it's solid, but it wasn't to the point where they felt comfortable being like, hey, like, can we stay here? They knew that was going to be a lot coming in with a family of 7. So they decided to live outside for a while, and then once that got to be too much, then they had entered shelter. Sara and her kids were only in shelter for about 4 or 5 months, which is the perfect thing with the TBRA program because it's not for people who experience homelessness for an extended period of time. It's just to kind of get their footing. TBRA is considered, it is tenant-based rental assistance. It's a collaboration with Appleton Housing Authority. It's one of those stepping stones to getting a Section 8 voucher because we know how important it is for people to be able to afford their rents. So when they graduate successfully and they get their Section 8 voucher, what it is 30% of their income. So if their income is $900, they'll be paying $300 towards rent. She was used to being a stay-at-home mom. So for her now to be solely responsible for the kids and, gaining income, because that is a requirement for programming, steady jobs, and worrying about schools where the kids were. When she first entered programming, her kids were actually living with her parents in Hilbert. So that way it gave her a little time to get everything situated, to kind of get her mind right because her husband did stay in shelter. I think it's the support. Sarah's one of those people where she could conquer the world, but it's just about her having confidence in herself to be able to do that. And everything is super overwhelming at this point. She's going from living outside to shelter to now on her own for the first time in her adult life, and now with her kids. So the biggest thing that she really needed was support. She needed someone in her corner to say, hey, you got this. Like, how can we connect you with resources? How can we connect you with counseling? How do we get your kids back and make it, as easy of a transition as we possibly can? And she just took everything and ran with it. She got a job. She slowly started to integrate her kids back where it wasn't just the weekends that they're coming back, but maybe, a day during the week, and then just started to gain more and more confidence in herself that she could do it.
And she was living in one of our affordable housing units. And when she graduated from the program, we had another unit open because the current tenants bought a house. And this new house was a better fit for her and her family. This was a 3-bedroom instead of a 2-bedroom with a yard. For someone to go through the whole continuum, they need to show that they are a good tenant, that they can pay their rent, that they do take care of the property. Sara managed to do all that. We had a couple bumps along the way, but we used those as a learning curve. And when she moved out of her first unit, we were so impressed with the way she left it. She cleaned it perfectly. She fixed things that were broken, and we're just very excited to have her now as an affordable tenant in a new house.
This is the reason why I do the job that I do. It's just to see someone go from not knowing who they are, not having the confidence in themselves to be like, hey, this is what I got to do and I can do it, to being like, I'm working full time. She's gotten promotions. Her kids are all enrolled in school and doing really well, extracurriculars. And now moving from programming into a home of her own, still using through stable housing, that's not something that she saw 2 years ago. So it's to be a part of her journey and see her just take the reins and just go with it, it's been beautiful.
The merge has helped because when we need to make a warm handoff, we can go straight to the case manager that was working with them, or even at the shelter, we can talk to the individuals that work there. And instead of being a name in an email, there are co-workers, so we know them by face and by name, and it has allowed to have more of a personal touch.
It's helped a lot, I think, in just because her mindset is always still concerned with like what her husband is doing. And with him still being in shelter, like we could still provide a sense of he still being supported, and that gave her the know-how or like the understanding that, okay, he's okay, so I can continue on. That's always been a concern of hers, is how is he doing? So to be able to do that, she's still connected with people at shelter, which is great because it's building still a good support, and she knows that she has anywhere, that she can go to our resource center, she can go to our shelters, and she can definitely come to main office and be like, hey, I'm in need, how can we help? The thing that's really helped Sara throughout this whole thing is having a place that is affordable, and that's a big barrier that we're seeing with a lot of clients clients are just getting them into places that they can afford and can be successful in. So the more community members, the more landlords that we have that are willing to work with programming and are starting to build in that 30% is huge. And we just need to kind of push as a community to understand the importance of having affordable housing. And so if we can start to gain that, I mean, we're getting more and more landlords, which is amazing. We just need to continue to grow. I don't think that this is our stopping point, this is our starting point.